Don't Worry Darling, released on the 23rd of September 2022, directed by Olivia Wilde. We had Florence Pugh as Alice, Harry Styles as Jack, Chris Pine as Frank, and Olivia Wilde as Bunny. A 1950s housewife living with her husband in a utopian experimental community begins to worry that his glamorous company could be hiding disturbing secrets.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Hey!
Giles, were you entertained?
Yes.
Amari, were you entertained?
Yes.
And Kyle, were you entertained?
No.
Oh, I was hoping we'd get the full house. I was entertained, so I guess, guys, it makes sense if Kyle.
Well, you can start with a positive.
No, we're going to flip it on its head. Carl, you're going first.
Let's start with the obvious. Harry Styles should not act again.
Okay, I don't agree.
How is a man going to go from such a nice, positive, laughing, joking mood, and his opening statement on the film review is Harry Styles should not act again? Wow, that's a big statement to start with. Giles, what are you saying?
I agree with him.
All right, so let's have the discussion. Let's have this brief discussion. Amari, how do you feel about this?
Harry Styles was obviously not in the echelons of the other actors. However, he wasn't a negative in the same conversation for me.
I agree with you there. I think for me personally, the role that he played, I think Olivia Wilde was very smart with this. I mean, I don't know why exactly he was casted, but I feel like he was very... Well, actually, no, I do know. Now that you're jumping up and down, I do know. Seems like he's got an advantage over a lot of male actors getting in the role that Olivia Wilde is directing. But anyway, jokes aside, I thought that the character he played, they were very smart. They didn't change his accent, which I think worked. The scenes that he kind of needed to act in, I thought that he hung pretty well with Florence, in my opinion. And I don't really see what he did in the film that was that offensive to, like you said, Carl, that he should never act again, me personally. How do you feel about that?
Well, there was one scene in particular where he's in the car and he's getting angry. He's trying to show emotion. That just did not hit for me at all. Did not hit in any way, shape or form. Before that point, I thought, not really feeling, he's not really convincing. He's just playing a guy. But when he tried to show emotion, that's when I was like, nah, this is not working at all.
I've seen worse.
So yeah, Harry Styles was was a negative for me, and I think that whole dance sequence, the whole dance segment of the film where he was on stage, it was almost like to remind people that, okay, even though I'm not that great an actor, I can still dance because this is where my strengths and where my background comes from. But yeah, his character was very one-dimensional, very, very one-dimensional for me. But he is quite new to the game. So maybe he can be afforded. I mean, look, we've sat on here and we've spoken about actors that are veterans and they're still one-dimensional. Yeah, but we can kind of give him some. He's got some time. He's got some time.
I agree with you there. I think the dancing scene, it was just unnecessary. But again, and as we'll go on in the conversation, the storyline of the film, obviously being as kind of weird and wacky as it was, and as it then came to light to be, I don't feel that Harry Styles needed to kind of act out of his shoes or needed to really provide such an amazing performance. I felt that he played his position. For me, the film was more focused on Florence Pugh, Alice, and how she was kind of interacting with what was going around, and everybody else. It felt like everybody was in her universe in the film. And obviously, I mean, I don't know about you three, but I think this has proven to me this girl can act. So I felt that with her being the lead and Harry being the supporting, I don't feel that he needed to do that much, really and truly. And I thought what he did was great. I mean, you can tell me your thoughts, but that scene where he first kind of loses his temper, and they have that scene in the bedroom and they start shouting at each other. I was invested in that. I thought, okay, because that was, for me, that was the first scene where I was like, okay, let's see how good of an actor he is, how much emotion can he convey, how believable is he as this person, and I believed it.
Firstly, I have to pause what we're talking about because I see Carl's name is saying no to the Midsummer, and clearly my name is Midsummer, and the reason why my name is Midsummer is because of Florence Pugh. But the fact that man has the audacity to say no to the Midsummer after Florence Pugh probably got this role from her acting in Midsummer, and then she doubled down with another performance, and then you want to tell me no to the Midsummer? Anyway, back to the point. Harry Styles is an OG. You know why? Because he stayed in his lane. He did his limited acting in Dunkirk. He did his limited acting here. The girl that he was colluding him with or concubining with just said, let me give you a role. Run with it. She said, oh, you can sing. Let you sing and dance for a minute. Hey, do it all, baby. I got you. And she did it. And he did it. And to be fair, you're telling me Harry Styles is never going to be the greatest actor. But if you're going to try to tell me he gave me a 1-star performance, there are liars in this room, because he didn't. He gave you a credible performance for the ability you know he has. I don't know what you're expecting from him. And but my thing is, did he distract from your overall enjoyment of the film?
Yes, he did.
Okay. So
unfortunately, his performance took me out of the film. I don't know why you guys are allowing him. I'm not saying you can't. Your defense of him can't be that. He did all right. It wasn't the worst. No, it just wasn't a good performance. I don't care about his name, who he is. I look at an actor. Did he act well? No, he didn't. Did he convey his emotions well? No, he didn't. That scene you're talking about where they're arguing, nah. I didn't feel like it was believable. And because, again, they're in the same scene, you look at Florence and you look at him and it's head and shoulders. It's head and shoulders.
And that's okay.
It's not okay.
Learning. No. This is his learning. No. Because for me personally,
you don't get to learn on a big film like this.
Well, Blake Lively says you don't. So what can I say? What can I do?
Well, there's two things I want to add to that, Carl. The first thing I'll say, I understand the point you're making, and I do agree with it. However, I kind of want to pull the conversation. Obviously, you've made a statement about Harry Styles, but I feel the bigger conversation here, like we'll get into, I'm sure now, is the plot of the film, the mood of the film, the feeling this film was giving you. Very, very quickly into this, I did feel like, okay, this is, well, at the time, I thought it was a film set in the 40s or the 50s, whenever it was. And
crazy.
I got the kind of, the vibe of, okay, so Florence Pugh's character is the sort of stay-at-home wife. Everything's fine. Everything's glossy. Harry Styles, the sort of, not macho, but the man's man of that era, goes to work, comes back, food on the table, very kind of down-tempo. And then, again, where obviously he's British and everyone else is American, I did kind of get that kind of, well, he's migrated from the UK or whatever. This is what he's doing. It was calm. It was very normal. It was very normal, because I can imagine that might be how a lot of arguments and a lot of interaction between couples might go. The second thing, and you cannot take this away from him, and I will be dropping 3 bombs here, man was moving randy. And listen, I don't care what you say about his acting. That was
job.
Very good.
He was like, hey, baby girl, I'ma take you. I got you right now. I'ma lay that smack down.
Listen, I went with Amber and I was nudging her, saying, look, you brought your notepad. This is how easy it is, This is how easy it is. Don't have to do much. Man was, I thought that was very believable. That was the main point of what I was going to say. But yeah, guys, the storyline, the plot, the feeling of this film. Giles, where did this take you, like, from the beginning?
So, yeah, like yourself, 1950s setting, very, man goes out to work, wife stays at home. I got a bit of Stepford Wives vibes from it. If anyone's seen Stepford Wives, and you could see quite early on that it was building to something. Things were not quite what they seem. And yeah, you know, aesthetically, loved it. You know, very vibrant. The colors are very vibrant, very in your face. But then when it came to the big reveal, I felt a little bit let down. You know, and for me, I had a couple of questions which we'll come on to later on.
Yeah. So if we talk about the storyline, I think the problem with this film is that it shows you more or less right from the start, within the first 10 minutes, that something's not quite right here. So straight away, you've taken that element of disbelief away. Already I'm like, all right, what's going on here? There's something not quite right in this town. So you've already eliminated half of your film, because to me there's no reveal. That's my
That's suspense.
yeah.
That's suspense, though.
Yeah,
Building suspense.
nah, but there was no suspense because I didn't ever feel like it was a real place to begin with. There was something off, and the way she was revealing certain things, I was like, yeah, well, it's obvious. It's like an extended episode of Black Mirror. That's what I thought, but not at the same level. That's my issue with the story. There's a lot of plot holes that I'm sure Giles even saw as well that we can get into. But yeah, the story was basic to me. Nothing really happened. I feel you wanted to put these themes, like you said, about 1950s, but it was so overt, so in your face. I think when you want to do themes, I like it when it's a bit more subtle. That's why I think about the story.
I feel like you lot are losing the plot of how to enjoy a film sometimes, because like I like the fact that I was guided to be told that there's something wrong. I enjoyed the fact that we see the black woman moving what's considered mad in that society that she's in, and I don't know why she's moving mad. I like that. And then I'm like, oh, there's something gonna happen. And I was like, ooh. Then I see Florence trying to be smart and trying to work things out. And I was like, ooh. And I was just like, this is the kind of film that people should watch if they want to like slowly engage themselves into, you're right, into a Black Mirror concept or something like that. Because this is the kind of film where you'd be like, okay, you know something's gonna happen, but you don't know what. And I didn't see the twist. I didn't see it. It perplexed me. I can't even lie to you. And also, what entertained me even more is that even once I realized there was a twist gonna happen, the depth that Chris Pine had shown, like I've never seen him act before. He was acting like he had to save his life, because I've never seen him act like that before. I see a man shaking his head. I see a man being angry. But this is the factual information I'm telling you I experienced, okay? I've never seen a man act like that before. That's him. Because I've seen him, and every time I think he's act, I just think he's Captain Kirk. And that's what and then I'm just like, he can't really act. He could be a sinister baddie in a Bond film, you know. And if you can't see that, it's not for me to tell you, because you won't see it ever. But anyway,
Mario, I'm gonna piggyback off you, because I feel like this doesn't happen often, but yes, everything you're saying is exactly how I felt. I pretty early on realized something obviously is not correct here, but for me, it was very suspenseful. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know where it was going. Let's talk about the look as well. The whole kind of set of where they were, that kind of area in LA or Cali, wherever they were. Obviously, it was made to look perfect, but even that was very eerie. I think they got the set perfect. I love the way that obviously it was very vibrant. And obviously, as we go on later on, you have the complete contrast. And I think that's another thing that we always mention: the color, the vibrancy of the areas that these films are laid in. Sometimes we say cinematography, but I think the color does play a big part in that, especially like this kind of weirdness that was going on, this eeriness. The music as well added to the suspense for me. I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised, Carl. Like, I thought you would have enjoyed the journey that I feel that Olivia Wilde was taking you on this, because I definitely did, Amari. I was with you all the way there.
Yeah, I did not enjoy the storyline. I did not think there was any suspense. The only thing I will give it is visually, it was good in terms of the colours. But that's about it. I'll give it the visuals and Florence Pugh. Outside of that, I didn't feel any suspense. Again, the messaging was too obvious for me. I've seen this before. I've seen it done in better ways as well. So, yeah, the things you liked, I did not.
I think my opinion of this is one of them films That's a bit weird because as much as I enjoyed the film, there was so much that I didn't like. And again, that's down to so what I said earlier in terms of, and as echoing you earlier with the colours. So the set of this town, I don't know if any of you are Call of Duty fans. It reminded me of there's a map on there called Nuketown, and it's basically one of these towns that were kind of, they're like nuclear or bomb testing towns, and I think they even recreated it in the last Indiana Jones movie. He wakes up in this kind of this fake town, so it gave me the Nuketown vibes. But then, and I especially like that deep red that those those weird guys who when anyone wasn't conforming to anything, they would just appear out of nowhere, and it kind of had me wondering, like, what were they doing when they weren't dragging people off? Like,
exactly.
What were they
that's
doing?
the first plot hole.
There was government agents. They was waiting. There's like,
So, but then, like I said, and then when I started asking myself that, then I started asking myself other questions, like, what was the plane crash all about?
Mm-hmm.
Why did Frank's wife kill him at the end? And then she just killed him for no reason. She didn't even kill him, and then
You don't know what was going on at home, mate.
yeah. I mean, I've got a ton of these, which is probably going to make you think, well, why did he say he enjoyed it? But yeah, I'll save that for my wrap up.
all right, so I have some things I need to rebuttal here quickly, for the benefit of the podcast and the benefit of other viewers and people who you should be watching Don't Worry Darling, because Don't Worry Darling was a magnificent piece of entertainment, even with the confusion that it's given others, which I can appreciate. It did do me at sometimes. The plane we don't care about. Fine, we can move on from the plane because it's a plane. Plane crashes all the time. Her curiosity got in the way, which is why she went to go see it. Okay, thank you very much. That answers that question. Now,
No, it doesn't. But continue.
well, I
No, it doesn't. Sorry,
I am the now Prime Minister of the UK. That answers this question. Thank you very much. Now let me continue. Appreciate it. Now, Kyle, your agenda against Florence Pugh films needs to stop. Okay, we've had 2 5-star showings from her.
Well, she did do Black Widow.
We've had 2 5-star showings from her that we've reviewed. Okay, just to clarify, right? Okay, and you're still not enjoying her films. Do you need to look in the mirror and say you have an issue with Florence Pugh? If that's the case, then fair enough. You can go do that in your own time. Now, there's also an issue that someone raised about why did Frank's wife kill him. Frank's wife knew, but she didn't know. But she knew. And then she got triggered by finding out that my man had died. That was the trigger point where she was like, oh God, I know. Now I know. I need to do something about it. She said, oh, let me give you that spear. And she gave him the spear with the knife, okay? That is the way I want to perceive it, and that is the way it's been.
This is hilarious. This is hilarious.
Listen. This is why
sorry, can I just ask?
Yes.
What genre is Don't Worry Darling supposed to be?
Oh, so this is the wonderful part.
It's meant to be a thriller, mystery, drama, science fiction, but you've just turned it into a comedy.
Oh, see, I see all these things and more. I even see romance in this bad boy. Do you know how messed up in your mind that you have to be in that much love to be with someone to say that I want to spend 5 hours a day in a simulated world controlling their lives to lick them out, then to say I spend the other 18 hours doing the job to pay for it? That's some kind of love I don't want to have, but that should be wild, motherfucker. So, that is the film that I watched. I can give more when we do wrap-ups, but I'm telling you people, this shit was good.
Yeah. So, by not addressing issues with the film and just providing your own made-up, skipped-over theories, that's not so actually, I think we should vote Amari for Prime Minister because he's just done a grand job of just not answering any of the questions. Like the fact that the plane was it was prominent because she kept on seeing it. I mean, was it Margaret? She went out to the desert to the detriment of her own life and her child's life for this plane that you're just going to say, oh, it's not central to the plot. It was very central to the plot, but there was no explanation for it. Zero. There was literally even if there was some sort of symbolism, what was it symbolizing?
There doesn't need to be a symbol. All the plane is escapism. They want to escape the virtual reality, and that's all it is.
So the plane was an NPC, is that what you're telling me? The plane was an NPC.
Non-player character. Hey, this is Free Guy. This is a virtual world that we're in that we wasn't ready for. I wasn't ready for. And that's what happened.
Boo. Sorry.
I find it interesting the way you're making excuses for this.
Yeah.
I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you how I perceived it.
You're giving your own conclusions, which are false.
Is it not my view? Is it not my view? Correct.
Your view is incorrect.
Let me just jump in there because again, Amari, I feel I have to. I'm backing you on this one, bro. We watched Nope. We had a similar conversation for Nope. There was a lot of things that we kind of had to take as they were and make of it what you will to fit in whatever you took from the film. I will say at this point, after watching Don't Worry Darling, I think it's an excellent example of when a lot of things happen that you may not be able to actually answer or have an understanding as to why that is, but then in the plot reveal and the storyline as it progressed and we got to see kind of things make sense at the end, the kind of reveal, because of the subject we were dealing with, for me, I didn't really need the answers. They would have been good. It would have been good to know, oh, that's what that was and that's what that was. Because for me, I think one of the biggest issues I had was the whole how people die in the kind of Matrix, because I was getting Matrix vibes from this, how they died in the sort of fake place and that transpired to them dying in real life.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
There were a lot of questions I had, but I took from it what I was presented. I thought about the entertainment value. I thought about the suspense. I thought about the acting and the performances, which I thoroughly enjoyed. So I walked out of the cinema very confused, but I had a lot of talking points and I had a lot of, but what did this mean and that mean? But it was all said and done with kind of like, not frustration, because I enjoyed the film so much. And the last thing I feel that maybe we should touch on before we get to the our ratings, I thought there were some very, very good conversations to come out of this film. You know, the time that we're in, women empowerment, society as a whole, how men are viewed in society, how women are viewed in society. I do feel that this film kind of started to tap into some of those conversations, and I thought, what better place to talk about some of these conversations or see where you guys thought, or if you even thought of them before we get to the ratings. I mean, the most obvious one was the kind of how men and women, the two roles in society, what they kind of are perceived to be, because in the real world, Harry Styles' character was the kind of down and out, you know, trying to make ends meet, and Florence Pugh was the one who was, you know, career-wise, she was doing very well. I think she was like a surgeon or something, and she was clearly, you know, the breadwinner of the situation, and Harry Styles' character had a bit of an issue with that. I thought that was a very interesting conversation to be had.
I thought it was basic. I really did. As I said, those themes were just far too obvious for me. The whole thing doesn't even make sense. So you want to put your wife to sleep in this virtual reality world because you're unsuccessful at getting a job, but then you somehow get a job that you need to pay to put this woman to sleep. How does that make any sense? The film is a joke.
Carl, you telling me you weren't tempted, nah? You look dirty. I know you're tempted. Because I fucking was, so I know you.
Hey, let me not live your life because I don't want to be tempted. I can't lie.
When Google was like,
and just
can I get a job like out of Don't Worry Darling?
and just to dovetail on that, like, why did she agree to do it? She worked. This guy sat at home and did fuck all.
Wait.
Did she agree though?
She didn't. She got kidnapped.
Yeah,
she got kidnapped and then knocked out, and then got the device laid on her with the tube.
So then
like test tube baby.
Right. Okay. So then it just shows what a deplorable character
Harry
Harry
Styles
Styles was.
I agree, but so
Okay,
is Blake.
so then my next question should have been then, why was she even with him?
But that's a very. I mean, look, in the realm of relationships, in the realm of character, and you know, you like what you like, innit? I thought it was very believable.
To give a short answer that can't be answered for now, the gender dynamics is simple. I think let's call him Wasteman Dancer. Wasteman Dancer who can't act in Kyle's view. So Wasteman WDCA Mr. WDCA. Yeah, I know, made it up right there. Mr. WDCA was just basically a bit of a bum and no ambition in life, but he loved the pum pum that he was getting, and he just wanted to make sure that he wanted to be the man in the pum pum's life. And you know, there's a lot of conversations, and I don't even feel like you need to have the internet anymore. There's a lot of conversations where a lot of men feel like that, and I feel like that was a good representation of it. So you say it's it could be simple, but a simple understanding is it represented, I'm gonna say, part of the population, because some men don't know what to do with themselves. Whether I agree with that is not my point, but I'm just saying that's what it represented in my eyes, for me personally. Now, Blake Lively character decided she wants to be in the film, because obviously she couldn't see enough of Harry. She wanted to see him on stage, being with stage, in the stage with him. All puns intended. She said she wanted to be in the film to see her kids, because she lost her kids, which I think is a very understandable reason. I don't agree with that virtual reality suck up that they're living in. But if you're telling me that you're that much PTSD from your kids not being with you, it's very understandable why you'd want to be in that scenario. Now, do I feel like that's actually the correct environment for them not to be in? No. But do I feel like it's a reasonable expectation that this is the way human race is going? Yes.
And that is all I wanted to add. I think if you gave, let's talk about the country, not even the world. I think if you gave a lot of people the option in this country to do something like this, I think you'd be very surprised how many people would take that opportunity. Kyle, final thoughts from you, then we'll get to the ratings.
Yeah, again, I think I can't remember what other film we're talking about. It's not to say this wasn't realistic from that aspect, that people, that's where we're heading. We're heading to the metaverse. So there's definitely going to be a lot of people. But the point to Amari's thing, that there's guys that will do this, but he already had the girl. The guys that will do this are the guys that can't get women. When he's in this virtual reality, he's not even beating it. He's eating. Yeah? So I do not agree with him. It was a bit confused. He wasn't really being the man, because he wasn't forcing it. He wasn't taking control like that, even in the metaverse, I'm going to call it. So I disagree with that point, Amari.
But I agree, you can disagree, but what type of control he wanted was not the type of control that he was pursued or given over her. He was controlling her life. He wanted her to be basically, per se, a servant. That's basically what he wanted. So what do you want me to do? He was getting servitude behavior. He was feeling better from it. Imagine coming home and saying, "Hey, wife, why is my food not cooked?" He doesn't even have to raise his voice. She just does it. Can you imagine a life like that? Imagine coming home and it's just there. You'll be like, what is going on?
A man can dream.
The world is not that
Or
world.
you can just enter Frank's simulation.
Or just order yourself rustlers 5 days a week. Giles, what are you going to rate Don't Worry Darling?
So like I said, this is one of these really weird films, which I'm glad I watched, but my rating won't reflect it. So I'm going to give this 2 stars, just simply because of the sheer magnitude, which I'm probably not going to be allowed to get into, or not going to have enough time to get into, of the plot holes, which just, the more I thought, it's like it got to the point where I was thinking of plot holes for the sake of thinking of plot holes. And that, to me, that isn't good. So while I was glad I watched the film, yeah, it's only 2 stars for me.
Kyle, what are you going to rate Don't Worry Darling?
I'm rating it 1 star.
Wow.
Uncalled for. Actually, uncalled
1 star.
for.
The only good thing, there were 2 good things about this movie. Florence Pugh's performance, I will give that to her. She is a quality actress. And again, how it looked visually, I was impressed. Now, outside of that, nothing else worked. The plot was all over the place. It didn't impress me. It didn't excite me. So that's one thing. Outside of the plot, as I've mentioned, Harry Styles, I don't want to see him act again. I don't. I just don't. It's frustrating that people like him get these roles when I've been told it was meant to be Shia LaBeouf that was meant to play that character, and it was replaced by Harry Styles, which is just a joke in itself. Outside of that, there were too many things that did not make any sense. So for that reason, I'm giving it 1 star because I came away with more questions than I had answers, and I came away again feeling like these themes you're trying to overtly put onto me just don't really add up. I've seen it done better in other TV shows, aka Black Mirror, and other films such as Her. So 1 star from me.
Kyle, you're still doing Midsummer Part 2 vibes, basically, is what we're doing. Is that what you're doing?
No, it wasn't as bad as Midsummer, because that's one of the worst films I've ever seen.
Because every time you see a Florence Pugh main actress film, you're talking all this smack. I'm a ride out for Florence. I don't even like the girl, but I'm a ride out for her because this is unacceptable behavior. You're saying that this film looked good again.
Kyle, Amari, I know how to just sort out this beef once and for all. Amari, go and make yourself a strong drink. Kyle, watch Fighting with My Family, and then you'll know about Florence Pugh's levels. That's it. Because I know, obviously, this is another Midsummer-esque, vibey kind of film. Fighting with My Family, watching that, and then watching her come back to this, the girl's got range. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I gave her. I said she gave a quality performance. That doesn't make up for the rest of the film.
Yeah, but every time she gives a quality performance, you're saying the film's shit.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That shows you bad selection. That's bad film selection. That's what that shows you.
But that would be bad film selection by her.
Yeah.
So you're saying she's a bad selector.
An
agent.
Yeah.
The bad script, right? There's bad script readers. All right.
Most definitely. So she needs to sort that out. Because as Giles mentioned, Black Widow as well. So it's bad choices. I'm trying to think of a film that I've enjoyed her in.
No one's talking about Black Widow, and that's okay. We don't talk about films that get black ratings, the dots. That's a dot. That's a mummy dot rating, like that and other stuff. But anyway,
and what is Midsummer then?
5 stars. What's my name? What's my name right there? Midsummer 5 stars. That's my name. Don't take on my name. Respect my name. I'm on my Birdman shizzle dizzle right now. Suck it. Yeah. Now
This guy.
Amari,
let me talk about my ratings.
In this film as well.
What is your rating for Don't Worry Darling?
Has he not given it yet, no?
I almost gave it 5 stars because of the smack that you man are talking. I almost did. I cannot lie.
5.
But I have to be respectful and give it the 4 because I left thinking, it has issues, but the issues it has does not outweigh its actual entertainment and necessary use because it was actually sensational. The reason why it was sensational is because it gave you insight in the different ways to think about a man's concept in this society and why a man is so confused in this world that we live in, within the range of the world that we have lived in the last 50 odd years. 1. 2. Florence Pugh's acting. Chris Pine, I'm telling you, if Chris Pine is the next Bond villain, I'm going to stab someone who's not Chris Pine because somebody needs to die to the next Bond villain to make sure he is the next Bond villain. I used to stab his looky like.
Listen, if you stab someone who's not Chris Pine, you won't be watching the next Bond movie.
He just needs to be the next Bond villain. That's all I need.
You'll be watching it after 20 years when you're paroled, fella. This film's got you moving mad.
It was mad. It was mad. It was lit. It was everything I needed it to be without even knowing I needed it. That's what I'm saying about this film, right? Imagine I watched another film at the same time as this film, and I was thinking, is this what we're serving up next to it? Nah, I'm telling you, you need to understand this film. Watch it again. You watch how it works. It's a 4-star film. If anybody tells you differently, they're idiots. And they're actual idiots because they don't have their eyes open. And that's okay. People have their eyes closed in 2022. We're going to go into 2023. Our eyes will be open now. Yes.
4 stars from Amari. I'm also going to give this 4 stars. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I think as we've spoken about, there was a lot of things that were questionable and didn't make sense straight away to me, but I did enjoy the suspense. I did enjoy the kind of the mystery of the plot and the storyline. I liked where it was going. I thought Florence, as we've said, she's up there for me now in terms of this era female actresses that are killing it in their roles. She, after this, has proven to me she has great range. I thought Harry Styles did well. I think this is not his first, is it his second, maybe second role in a major flick, and I thought he actually did well. I thought he hung with Florence, and again, Florence is an amazing actress, so to be in scenes with her and for me being able to kind of hang, I give him his props. I like the way that the film kind of had a bit of a glamour and a bit of a gleam to it. I think it really embodied the ethos of that time, of everything being perfect, everything being neat, everything looking a certain way. We didn't really speak about Chris Pine, but I felt that he played his part. Again, didn't really need to do much, but kept everything moving along as it should. And yeah, the whole reveal, the whole kind of storyline, how it ended, and we got to understand exactly what had been going on, I thought was another little twist on themes that we've seen already. But I liked how Olivia brought that, and also the questions, as we said, some of the questions about, gender and positions in society and that kind of thing. I thought there was a lot to take out from this film. So it's 4 stars from me, which gives Don't Worry Darling a TMRG star rating of 3 stars.
I've just been told, Amari. I've just been told that based off the the success of this movie, they're making a sequel, and you're going to get cast in it. It's called Calm Down, Dear. That's what it's called.
I was like, it don't need a sequel.
Oh man,